Hey folks, I'm Rob Franek, Editor-in-Chief here at the Princeton Review. If you've been joining us for our COVID-19 series, specifically how COVID-19 and its repercussions are affecting higher education, folks, you'll know that we're doing these videos on the daily and answering questions valued to us from students and giving basic overviews of what's happening in higher education. Today we're devoting the entire segment to LSAT students, specifically answering this question, LSAT Flex. What do you actually need to know about this new exam? So folks, let us reflect very quickly on two other grad school exams, both the GRE and the GMAT, that have now added a remote function. Let's add to that mix the idea of AP exams. As much as it sounds like heresy, also moving to a remote option as well, but now add in the LSAT Flex, the newest exam under that nomenclature for online remote LSAT exams. Folks, we're going to talk today both about how to be strategic about the exams and then thinking about its effect on law school applications alone. But first, we have to give real compliments to the marvelous work that the folks at LSAC, and again that acronym is the Law School Admission Council, have been doing in proactively answering questions about the new LSAT Flex exams. Folks, we are following this very closely at LSAC, as I know you are. Now, LSAC has put out a series of things that you need to know about the new LSAT Flex exams. You can find that on LSAC's website. You can also simply watch this video because we're going to walk you through each of those different things. So here are the key components that students that are taking the LSAT Flex will need to know. Number one, the LSAT Flex is going to be a remote proctored exam. So a remote proctored LSAT experience. It will start at the second half of May. Now the date is still to be announced. It's going to be announced on April 17th. We'll certainly be reporting that information out to you directly at the Princeton Review. But as for the structure of the exam, the LSAT Flex is going to be divided into three different sections, each at 35 minutes apiece. Those three sections are as follows. Reading comprehension. Number two, analytical reasoning. And number three, logical reasoning. Now, folks, this is in addition to a writing section that is required on the LSAT. Now, you'll know if you've already taken an LSAT in a past experience that there is a writing section. That writing section is also required in the LSAT Flex, but you have to sign up for that separately. So once you take the LSAT Flex, then as soon as possible, you should be taking that writing section as well. And folks, let's just think about this as means of comparison to the traditional LSAT, which was previously a 4-section exam at 35 minutes apiece with an additional unscored section. So that was the components of the traditional test, and now the 3 35-minute sections plus the writing section done at a different date for the new LSAT Flex. Now, the LSAT Flex is going to clock in at a solid 2 hours. Now, the bad news is that there are no breaks during that solid 2 hours, but the good news is that you get to choose the time that you're actually going to take the new LSAT Flex exam. Now, the scoring grid is the exact same as the traditional LSAT. It's going to be from that 120 to 180 scale. You'll also, just as you receive with the traditional exam, a percentile ranking. You'll receive your scores back in 2 weeks after completing the exam. Now, the LSAT Flex right now is only available to those students who were previously registered for the April LSAT test. And that's specifically those students that were taking the LSAT test that we all know right now has been canceled. Now, other folks are grandfathered into this. If students were taking the March administration and then were moved to April, which has been canceled, those LSAT Flex opportunities are there for you as well. Now, the LSAC has promised to continue to monitor COVID-19 and its repercussion on those students who are law school bound, specifically taking the LSAT. And they're going to likely make LSAC Flex dates more available as time goes on as they continue to monitor the process. But this is an important thing to remember. Folks, there's going to be no further cancellations of any LSAT exams. You are simply going to be moved into the LSAT Flex model. Now, if students were already registered for that April test that was canceled for the LSAT, and you don't like what you're hearing specifically about the LSAT Flex, then folks, fear not. You have an entire year from right now until April of 2021 to sign up for any additional LSAT administration with no change fee, no charge to you. So folks, this is an important thing to remember, that as the COVID virus continues to have its repercussion on higher education, you might choose to postpone your LSAT in hopes of having the traditional test, but there is no guarantee. You might simply be channeled into the LSAT Flex model at a later date. So just to keep that in our noggins. If you're a student that has a disability or a special accommodation, folks, reach out to LSAC now. And remember that those accommodations could include equipment challenges, spotty Wi-Fi, finding a quiet space in which to take that 2-hour exam in the remote environment that we're discussing as well. Folks, the LSAC team have been very clear that they are willing to work with you. Build that relationship now to make sure that you are on their radar and have your questions from a challenges and accommodations perspective answered. Next, and let's just spend 2 seconds on this because LSAC was very clear about the idea of Wi-Fi on the exams, and so many students have the fear that their Wi-Fi will be spotty during that 2-hour period and it could somehow adversely affect them. But folks, here's the thing, do not panic. The remote proctoring system, which we'll talk about in a second, has a pause on the test. So until a student, during that 2-hour environment, if they have trouble with Wi-Fi, the remote proctor will put the exam likely on hold until that issue is resolved and then turn back the exam to the student. Now, a word about the remote proctoring service. Again, the remote proctoring channel is called ProctorU. That's Proctor in the letter U. Now this is the same service that the team at GRE is using as well. And what to remember about your remote proctoring service is this. They are watching, they are listening, and they are recording you throughout that 2-hour experience in the LSAT Flex model. And they are there basically for 2 things. 1, to maintain test security, and then 2, test integrity. So folks, our advice to you is the same that LSAC is giving right now, and this is the wrap up for the advice, is to get familiar with the LSAT Flex model right now. You can do this by taking practice tests, certainly with LSAC as well, because the free official LSAT prep test is identical to the format in the LSAT Flex model. So folks, you can find that test specifically on LSAC's website in the Law School Hub. And do not forget that we have so many of those services at Princeton Review for LSAT prep. In an online environment, we have retooled to make sure that we are addressing those needs that you have right now due to the COVID-19 repercussions. Okay, now that we've covered the specifics, the key components of the LSAT Flex, what does this all actually mean for you? So first of all, if you were suffering a cancellation through the LSAT cancellations due to COVID-19, folks, all of the information tells us at the Princeton Review that you can feel very good about the option in the LSAT Flex model. And here's the thing, we speak to a lot of law school deans of admission and so on, and they are treating the LSAT Flex just as they would the traditional LSAT. But the question continues to come up from our students at the Princeton Review, and I suspect it's on your mind as well. And the question is, due to the remote proctoring channel, what about cheating? And our students have been very pointed in their questions. Specifically, they are concerned about students that are cheating and its effect on a testing curve because of those students that cheat. Now, we have a content director who is responsible at the Princeton Review for all things LSAT. He's my longtime colleague. His name is Chad Chasteen, and we're going to look to Mr. Chasteen specifically for some advice, and specifically for some advice about ProctorU. So here is his direct quote, and I'll read it to you. ProctorU is a very respectable, remote testing service. They'll not only be watching and listening in real time, but they'll also be recording for subsequent analysis by humans and AI. Given how incredibly severe the consequences are for cheating, it is just not worth it to do so. Folks, the consequences far, far outweigh any benefit that you can change in the idea of cheating on the LSAT. So, if you are planning to take the LSAT at a future date, let's say the October administration, or beyond that, folks, register for that LSAT now, knowing full well that that face-to-face accommodation or that traditional test might port over to the LSAT Flex model. And folks, use this extra time to prep. We are longtime teachers and tutors at the Princeton Review for all things LSAT and other testing types. Certainly, folks, use this time, use us if we can be of great service to you in this way to prep you for the exam that is at hand due to these COVID-19 times. I'm going to leave you with this one thing as we've heard this question from lots of students. As many students move from the face-to-face model to a virtual model in college, many of their letter grade courses that they would have received letter grades for are now moved to the pass-fail model. Folks, law school teams, admission teams, and otherwise understand this stuff. And here's the thing, LSAC will be putting into your CAS report, and that's the Credential Assembly Service, a specific note to say that you were in college during these COVID times in the spring semester of 2020. That's going to be a reminder to all law schools that are going to be considering your applications, evaluating your applications in the next year or years that you were one of those students affected by COVID-19. So please do know that you will not be penalized for a pass-fail grade or certainly being forced to take your classes remotely. Folks, circumstances that are out of your control can never, you could never suffer penalization for those things that are out of your control. Folks, again, I'm Rob Franek here at the Princeton Review, here to help as much as possible. If you have questions about anything that we covered today or issues that you'd like us to discuss as well, please do volley them directly to us through this channel at YouTube or any of our social channels at the Princeton Review. Rob Franek, Editor-in-Chief, out.